$141,000. I'm 20 years old. I don't own a Ferrari. I don't have a Rolex. I have a laptop, a content system, and a reasonably uncomfortable desk chair. And I want to walk you through exactly how the money happened. Because most people who make this kind of money at this age either got lucky or lie about how it actually works. I did neither. What I did was find a machine that was already running, figure out which levers did what, and then pull the right ones in the right order. That's it. No passion. No grind motivation. No 5 a.m. cold plunges. Just pattern recognition and mild stubbornness. We're going to explain how content monetization actually works as a system, why most people who try it fail in ways that are completely predictable, and why the difference between someone making $3,000 a year on YouTube and someone making $100,000 a year is almost never what they think it is. The metaphor I'm going to use throughout this video is a vending machine. Not because it's cute, but because it's accurate. You put something in, you get something out. The output is predictable once you understand the internal mechanics, and most people are just standing in front of the machine, pressing random buttons and wondering why the candy isn't falling. So here's the first thing you need to understand. Most people approach content creation as an expression problem. They think the goal is to say something original, to be creative, to build a brand around their personality. And that instinct is not just wrong, it actively costs them time and money. Because the vending machine does not care about your originality. The vending machine runs on demand, and demand already exists. Your job is not to create demand. Your job is to find where demand is, then supply it more efficiently than the person currently supplying it. This is first-order economics, by the way. Not some secret strategy. This is just how markets work. But when you apply it to content, people get uncomfortable because it sounds cynical. So, let me make it concrete. Somewhere around early 2025, I found a channel in a sports niche that was doing extremely well with short-form content. Not slightly well, explosively well. Millions of views per video, consistent upload schedule, simple format, zero production complexity. The videos were structured around a concept. Here are the smartest moments in this sport. Here are the rarest things that ever happened in this league. That's the format. Narration over highlight clips, 20 to 30 seconds, millions of views. Now here's where most people stop and say, well, that niche is already taken. And that thought right there is the thought that keeps people broke. Because the niche wasn't taken, the sport was. And there are about a dozen major sports that run on overlapping but non-identical audiences. So I moved one variable. Same format, different sport, same concept, different clips. The vending machine already had a working blueprint. I just built a second machine next to it. This is not plagiarism. This is product market fit research. Every successful business does this. The second coffee shop that opened near the first successful one wasn't stealing. It was confirming demand and positioning to capture a portion of it. Within a few months, the channel started growing, and once the growth started, the monetization followed. But here's the thing about YouTube monetization specifically, the thing that almost nobody explains correctly. YouTube does not pay you for effort. YouTube pays you for watch time multiplied by advertiser demand in your niche. That's it. Those are the two variables. A sports highlight video that gets 1 million views might earn 80 cents per 1,000 views. A personal finance video that gets 100,000 views might earn $6 per 1,000 views. The finance video earns more money with 10 times fewer views because the advertisers in that niche pay 10 times more per eyeball. Different sections of the vending machine dispense different amounts of candy per button press. I was in a sports niche, which means lower revenue per 1,000 views, which means I needed volume. And I got it. But if I had stayed only on YouTube, the ceiling would have been visible. And that's where the second layer of this system comes in. Here's the thing about the vending machine. Once you've built a product, the cost to distribute it a second time is almost zero. A video I made for YouTube Shorts in 30 minutes doesn't cost me 30 more minutes to also post on another platform. It cost me approximately 4 minutes to format it, export it, and upload it. So if another platform also pays for views, I've now doubled my revenue output from the same unit of work. Same candy, second machine, barely any extra coins required. This is what people mean when they talk about leverage. Not some abstract concept. Literally this. TikTok has a creator rewards program. It pays for views on videos over 1 minute long. YouTube Shorts pays for videos under roughly 3 minutes in their own format. So I started making slightly longer versions of the same videos for TikTok, then cutting the slower sections out for the YouTube version. One piece of content, two payouts, slightly different runtime. This is not a hack. This is just not leaving money on the table. Here's a concrete math example. In my lowest month of 2025, I made roughly $3,600. In my highest month, I made roughly $17,000. The difference between those 2 months was not that I worked 4 times harder in July. The difference was that in July, I was posting consistently. The sport I covered had peak seasonal traffic, and TikTok had just accepted me into their specialized rewards program. 3 variables shifted simultaneously and the output multiplied. This is why income in content feels inconsistent to most people. It's not actually inconsistent. It's highly sensitive to input variables that most creators aren't tracking. The average person looks at a month where they made $3,000 and thinks they had a bad month. What they actually had was a month with poor input calibration. Wrong sport season, broken posting cadence, wrong video length for the platform they were targeting. The machine wasn't broken. They were just pressing the wrong buttons. Let me tell you a short story, not about me, about a pattern I've observed. Imagine 2 people who both decide to start a YouTube channel in the same month. Same niche, similar editing ability, similar equipment. Person A spends 3 months developing their unique style, writing original scripts, trying to build something that feels authentically theirs. Person B spends 1 week finding the top performing channels in that niche, reverse engineering the 3 format types those channels use most consistently, and then starts posting within the second week. 6 months later, person A has 11,000 subscribers and is burning out because their most original video got 400 views and they can't figure out why. Person B has 80,000 subscribers, is making consistent monthly income, and has started testing slightly new formats on top of the base system. What happened? Person A was solving an expression problem. Person B was solving a distribution problem. YouTube doesn't pay for expression. It pays for retention. The algorithm doesn't know what you meant. It only knows how long people watched. Now, there's a version of this story where person B hits a ceiling too. And that's the part that almost nobody talks about. Because replicating a proven format gets you into the game. It does not guarantee you stay in the game. At some point, the channel that you modeled against will either evolve or fade. And if you've built your entire system as a copy of someone else's system, you're running a derivative product in a market that's starting to shift. This is why the money I actually made wasn't just about replication. It was about replication as a starting point, and then compounding. I added a third revenue stream on top of the 2 platform payouts. I was using licensed background music through a platform that paid creators a royalty percentage when that music generated views. Not a large percentage. But when you're getting millions of monthly views and a portion of those views include music that generates royalties, the math starts doing interesting things. Think of it this way. If a song used in my video generates 1 cent per 3,000 streams, and my video gets 4 million views with that song, that's a small but real additional payment for work I already did. It's not the biggest income stream, but it exists with zero marginal effort. That's the point. Zero marginal effort on an additional revenue stream is, by definition, infinite return on investment because the denominator of your effort cost rounds to zero. The music royalty method I was using did get restructured toward the end of 2025. Platforms patch things when too many people start using them. That's just how incentives work. But the concept itself, attaching passive revenue mechanisms to content you're already creating, is not patchable. It's a permanent structural advantage that changes based on tools but not in principle. Now let me give you the honest breakdown of where the $141,000 actually came from in roughly proportional terms. The majority came from YouTube Shorts monetization. The second largest chunk came from TikTok creator rewards. The remaining portion came from the music royalty system and a few smaller streams that I won't go into detail about because they're either no longer active or context specific. But the core point is this. If I had only run one platform, I would have made somewhere around 60 to 65% of that number. Each additional stream didn't just add linearly, it also reduced my risk because if one platform changed its payout structure, which they do, constantly, I wasn't fully exposed. This is the part where most people think I'm going to say diversify your income. I'm not going to say that because it's vague and useless. What I'm going to say is specific. Diversification only matters if each stream you add is structurally different from the others. Having two YouTube channels is not diversification. It's doubling down on the same single point of failure. Having a YouTube channel and a TikTok page that monetize the same content through different mechanisms is diversification because the failure mode of one doesn't destroy the other. Here's a short cutaway thought. Someone once told me that the key to success on social media is authenticity. I thought about that for a second, then I looked at my analytics. The algorithm does not have a feelings detector. Moving on. Let me also address the thing you're probably thinking right now, which is, okay, but you were already good at making videos. You said you started a channel when you were 8 years old. So this doesn't apply to me because I don't have that background. Here's the problem with that reasoning. The skill I actually use to make this money is not video editing. It's pattern recognition and system design. The video editing took a few months to get competent at. The pattern recognition is what I'm actually selling you on right now. And pattern recognition is a learned behavior, not an inborn talent. You learn it by studying what's working, why it's working, and what the underlying mechanic is. You don't learn it by watching motivational content about following your dreams. The vending machine is not impressed by your dreams. It responds to inputs. So here are the 3 things I'd actually tell you to do if you want to build a system like this. 1. Find the machine before you build your product. Identify a content format that is currently generating significant views in a niche adjacent to something you're willing to spend time on. Willing, not passionate. Willing is enough. Spend at minimum 2 weeks studying the top performers in that format before you post a single video. 2. Build for multi-platform output from day one. Don't make a YouTube video and then think about TikTok later. Design your content length and structure to be distributable on at least 2 platforms simultaneously from your first upload. The extra 4 minutes of formatting per video will compound into tens of thousands of dollars over time if the content performs. 3. Track your inputs, not your feelings. When a month is bad, it's not because content creation is hard or the algorithm hates you. Something specific changed. Post frequency dropped. Niche had low seasonal demand. Video length missed the platform's sweet spot. Identify the variable, adjust the variable, measure the output. This is how engineers think. This is also how people actually make money. I'm 20 years old. I made $141,000 by treating a content system like a machine and learning which buttons to press. The machine is still running.